Howdy folks, Super Koopa here, and I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to title this video, but I wanted to just sit down and have a brief conversation with you all about something that's been on my mind lately, and that's been just the current state of the world and state of events and how I've been feeling about different things I've been witnessing and seeing around me, and the way that I've been trying to deal with these different things. Now, for years I've struggled with depression on and off, and a lot of it has to do with circumstances, but a lot of it also I think has to do with just witnessing the world around me and seeing, quite frankly, a state of hopelessness that's been perpetual for quite some time. And I think it's come to my attention that the reason that things are the way that they are is because, well, number one, everybody's always online, and I know that's a common sort of cop-out excuse for bad behavior, and I'm not saying that being online all the time is the cause of bad behavior. I think it's a symptom of a larger societal problem. With social media, what has happened is it's sort of ignited this culture war that's been going on. People are really at each other's throats with politics, with worldviews, ideologies, so on and so forth. And I think what that's doing is causing people to get discouraged and look at the world and think that things won't improve, and allowing people to look at the world in a sense that is very dark. And it might not necessarily be realistic, but it feels realistic because that's all you can see when you look around, and you just see things that don't necessarily affirm what you believe. And the combination of all of that creates a negative environment that just isn't healthy, ultimately. And I understand it when people say they want to take a social media break, especially now. When I was younger, I used to think, oh, that doesn't really do anything, because at the end you just come back and you just feel the same as you did when you left. But I think the ultimate solution is not to take a social media break just for the sake of taking a break, but I think it's to understand what exactly causes you to feel the way that you do, and understanding that being negative and being surrounded by negativity, even if it's with something you like, just isn't the greatest thing in the world. If what you're involved in and what you are talking about with other people on the internet is something that causes you to attack other people or go after people that you don't know because they don't agree with what you personally believe, or they don't agree with the thing that you fight for ideologically, then I think that's a good point to step back and say, wait a minute, is this, I know I believe in this thing, but is this really worth fighting with complete strangers over? You know, if at the end of the day, if what you're fighting for causes you to lash out at others, I think that's a good point where you need to sit back and go, am I really making this world a better place? You know, even if my cause is noble or good, am I making the world a better place by cussing this person out because they don't agree with me or because they do something that I despise, instead of just turning the other way and not engaging them? And I think we've forgotten how to do that. I think we've forgotten how to peacefully disengage with one another, and it's caused a lot of division in social circles to where people are weary of one another. They don't want to get involved with each other because they don't know what the other person thinks. They don't know what the other person believes. They don't know what the other person might be, you know, how they might be living. And as a result, they're more hesitant to really get involved with people. But I think as social beings, as we are human, we need to be involved with other people, both online and off, and I think we're losing that. And quite frankly, I think it's worse in the real world because people just don't want to talk to each other. People don't want to talk to strangers. People don't want to, you know, get involved in communities because they're weary, myself included. One of my biggest flaws is that I don't want to engage people because I've been hurt by people in the real world so much that I've just sort of drawn back. I spend all my time just kind of at home, alone, and just kind of weary about the world around me. And I've been really reflecting on that, and I don't believe that that's the best position to hold, especially when you consider that the world really isn't as bad of a place as the internet makes it look. And that's another point I wanted to bring up about, the internet culture, is that when you see people at each other's throats politically, ideologically, and everything on social media and the message boards and all these other places, that's not the real world. Okay, there might be some real world issues that people are dealing with, but the world isn't that bad of a place. Not everybody is your enemy. Even those who disagree with you fundamentally on issues are not your enemy. We sort of make enemies out of one another online, and it translates into the real world to where it makes things awkward because we don't know what the person next to us necessarily believes. Whether that's somebody standing in line, in the elevator, on the bus, so on and so forth. And I think we've officially lost that sense of our humanness because of the internet, and because we take things to such extremes with our ideas, Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with standing by what you believe in, whether people disagree with it or not. I disagree with plenty of things, but I also agree with a lot of different things. I have my own set of worldviews. But that being said, I don't think we should allow our worldviews to cause us to lash out at people, to cause us to be mean-spirited, to cause us to really just reinforce all of the, for lack of a better term, I hate using it, but toxicity you see around in internet circles and social circles. There are so many things that we can improve as a culture. I'm a millennial. I was born in '92, and my heart has really bled for my culture over the years. That's been one of my biggest struggles, is seeing my culture struggle so much with trying to be better and failing at that, and seeing this epidemic of depression and hopelessness break out. I mean, there are so many people in my generation who don't feel like they have any purpose, so when they find something with purpose, it sort of overwhelms them to the point where rational thought just kind of goes out the window, and they just become consumed by their belief. And like I said before, you end up lashing out at other people who disagree. You end up, becoming mean-spirited, and it can affect others' opinions of you. And now I know what some of you are going to say right now is, oh, people's opinions of me don't matter. But truth be told, what do you want to be remembered for when you die? Do you want to be remembered for being somebody who was constantly at people's throats? Or do you want to be remembered for being kind and trying to engage people on a reasonable level, on a mature level, and setting certain things aside so for the sake of you being able to build a genuine relationship to where you can work through those issues once they come up in a genuine way, instead of immaturely lashing out and just causing division? Because I want to be known for that. I want to be known for doing that. And I'm not going to be flawless at doing that, but I want to be remembered for doing that. I want to be remembered for being kind. There's a lot of things that I wish I could say that I've had to restrain myself from saying, because at the end of the day, I'm not solving any of my problems by lashing out or ranting out, any of those things. So I have to remember that if you want the world to be a better place, you start by being a better person. You start by looking at, where you're at and how you treat people, and really reflecting on that and seeing where you can improve. And that's a hard thing for people to do, because pride is such a huge thing in our culture that it's hard for people to humble themselves and figure that out. And they don't want to focus on that. They just want to say, well, everybody who disagrees with me is making the world a worse place. They're terrible people, etc., etc. And that's not helping anything. That's just continuing the vicious cycle. And I feel like I'm repeating myself ad nauseum, so I'm going to try to move forward. But my ultimate goal with this commentary is just to say we can do so much better than we've been doing. Even in gaming circles, there's so much division on so many different things, and many of those things just don't matter, you know? I'll bring up the Pokemon issue, for lack of a better term, or example, rather. The thing with Pokemon, bring back the national dex. At least as of this video, this is the biggest controversy within Pokemon right now. We're a couple months out before Sword and Shield releases, and the whole national dex controversy. I'm not going to go over it again just because there's so many other people talking about it. But long story short, it's a very divisive thing in the community of Pokemon players, and it's causing people to get really, really, really nasty with each other and against developers. And to me, that's just unnecessary. Alright, I get the concerns and the reasons to be upset, and I'm not trying to invalidate those things. I agree with a metric ton of them, in fact. There's a lot of reasons to be upset about what's happening, but the problem is that people don't know how to handle that maturely. Or at least a lot of people don't. I don't want to generalize and say everybody, but a lot of people don't know how to deal with these things reasonably, and it causes people to just be incredibly divided, and it causes the community itself to look really, really bad. Here's the thing about communities. Not everybody's going to get along, but at the end of the day, what it should be about is sharing your love of this thing together and not focusing on the divisive nature of some of these things that happen. It's not about, tearing others apart because they don't agree with you on a controversy. I mean, it's about the love of the game. I mean, that for me is like, I love Pokemon. I'm going to get Sword and Shield because I love Pokemon, and I'm excited to see how it plays. It looks like it's going to be fun. Are there issues with it? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to say that I'm not going to buy it just because I'm upset about this issue. I'm just going to voice my concern and then move forward. But there are people who spend hours just online, just constantly dwelling on it, going on to every Pokemon page, hashtag bring back the national dex, and starting all sorts of arguments, and it's just, even if people agree with you, which like I said, I agree with people who are saying these things and why they are saying them, but you're not making things better by just shouting things out of frustration and just constantly, again, for lack of a better term, harassing people just to try to get some change happening. In order to get change happening, like, if you don't, I hate to say it this way, but if you don't like it, don't buy it. Just vote with your wallet. Not just say, I'm not going to buy it and I'm done with this franchise, but just take a mature position of, listen, I don't like where this thing is at. I'm going to distance myself from it for a while until it becomes something that I feel is worthy of my money at this point. And then just leave it at that. Whatever discussion follows. But you don't need to go out of your way to just, start attacking everybody who takes the counter perspective. That's the most important thing. And I think if we learn to do that, and there are going to be some people who never do that. There are going to be people who are overly emotional, they're not mature, and they're just going to lash out every opportunity they get because it just gives them purpose. It gives them a sense of hope in a state of otherwise hopelessness. I don't agree with it, but that's where they're at, and they're probably not going to change. Maybe one day they'll grow up and they'll learn to disagree with people the right way. But for now, that's kind of how they operate. But for others, they're willing to really look at these things and say, you know what, this isn't worth getting divided over. This isn't worth losing friends over. That's kind of the state of where things are at. People are losing friendships over things as small as gaming, politics, all these other different issues, because they take it so much to heart, and they don't need to. Life is greater than the sum of these things. A lot of these things are just hobbies and activities. They're not life or death. Even in the political circle, unless you're actively campaigning to be political, getting involved politically is just something else to do. It's not even the crux of life. It's really just another thing. You know, I'm not saying you can't care about the issues or you shouldn't care about the issues. You should. But instead of arguing with people over the issues, just do what I do. When election season comes, just vote and go home. You don't need to even say anything. Just vote according to what you believe and then go home. And let the results fall where they do. And if they turn out to be something that you don't like, then just say, oh well, and move on. That's it. But we can't just leave it at that. You know, we have to be at war with one another on these things for whatever reason we feel justified in doing so. I don't think there is a good reason, but at the end of the day, that's kind of where we're at as a culture, and it needs to change. But it'll only change if people are willing to let it change and willing to be better with one another. And not to want to engage in constant, non-stop battles. Like, my goal for 2020 is going to be no news of any sort. Not looking at headlines, not looking at articles. The only things related to news would be video games, and even that is going to be just focusing on new releases that interest me and that sort of thing. Because it's getting to a point where there's so much controversy in everything that it's really starting to tear me down. It's starting to grate me down, and it's causing me to risk becoming a person that I don't want to be. I don't want to be a person who's constantly negative. I don't want to be a person who's constantly feeling like I have to attack people. I'm not saying I do that. I try to refrain from doing that. I've had that phase in my life of responding to things online in a knee-jerk reaction, and I went down that road and I said I would never go back. And so far I've done okay on that. I haven't really, engaged people in such a way, but I see it increasing for a lot of people, the hostility. And I just wanted to say it's so unnecessary, and I feel like we really should strive to do better as a society. I mean, yes, not everybody's going to agree with us on every single thing. There is no world in which that happens. Even the best of friends and family disagree on fundamental issues. But we shouldn't let that tear us apart. At the end of the day, if those people are our friends and our family, then we need to love them, and we need to understand that they might be coming from a different place. And we don't have to sacrifice and compromise what we believe just to please them. But sometimes it's better just to not engage the topic at all. If people aren't able to be mature about something because there's a lot of emotion involved, it's better to just avoid it. But I don't know. It's something where if we don't improve, I feel like things are going to get so much worse. They're already pretty bad, but they're going to continue to get so much worse, and it's going to be every single thing that we do is going to become a battle. And again, I think this plays back into the whole internet culture thing, is where people don't know how to interact with each other. There's a lot of people who don't know how to be mature. They were never taught how to be respectful of one another regardless of viewpoints, and most of the things that I've reiterated, they haven't been taught, and so they create this sort of cycle that seems endless. But we can break that cycle very easily. All we have to do is just be better. Just not engage people who want to just start a fight or start a conflict, and just say, okay, agree to disagree, and just walk away. That's sort of been my goal. And with 2020 again, it's sort of my pre-New Year's New Year resolution is to just disengage from a lot of stuff. Also, learn when to step back from getting involved with these social media echo chambers and these different spheres and places that draw out the worst in you, because it doesn't make you a better person in the long run. What it does is it just continues this endless vicious cycle, and you find yourself being something that you're not. Like I said, my biggest struggle is that a lot of what I see in the news and a lot of what I see on social media it turns me into something I'm not, and it puts me in an emotional state that I shouldn't have to be in, and in all reality don't have to be in. The only reason I'm there is because I focus on it. And I have the power to turn the phone off, to turn the computer off, to click off the page, to use the block button if necessary, if people just want to fight for the sake of fighting and they don't want to have a peaceful dialogue. I have the power to do those things. And if I can do them more, then I think I can be a better person. And I think more people can be better people. If we learn when to disengage and to not seek to make enemies, but seek to make friends. That's ultimately the goal, is we should seek to make friends, especially in the gaming community. I mean, what we do in the gaming community is centered around having fun. A nice escapist hobby. It doesn't have to be political. It doesn't have to be ideological. We can just have fun and just talk about the game. You know? Yes, there are going to be topics that come up in discussion that are inherently just negative, or maybe there's an aspect of a game that's not right and we agree that it's not right, but even then we just need to be careful how we handle these things, because otherwise we're just continuing to make things worse, as I've said probably about 1,000,000 times in this commentary. But anyways, those are some of my thoughts. Let me know what some of your thoughts are below. How would you improve the internet culture? How would you improve the social media culture? And how would you go about engaging people who you disagree with in a way that's productive and that can end with, at the very least, a mutual respect, if not a friendship? How are ways that you would do that? And just be thinking of those different things as you continue to use the internet, use social media, and you continue to engage different things. And just know when to take a break and when to just say enough is enough and just not get involved. I think that's the most important thing we can do, is just learn when to unplug and learn to just do better things when things get out of hand. So, anyways, that's going to do it for me. Thank you very much for watching, folks. I hope you enjoyed this little commentary, and sorry for my bad Tetris gameplay, and I'll see you guys next time. God bless. Have a good one. Peace.